Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Friday, time for Trucker Money number 25. If you're new to Trucker Money, and seeing as how the channel's growing, you might be, welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is a little different. We don't talk about money we earn from trucking. We do that the other 6 days a week and other stuff. Fridays we talk about what we're going to do with all that money we made while these rates are so good. Building a retirement, passive income, lifestyle outside of trucking. So stay tuned for that. And every week I do a recap of kind of different sources of income I had come in, and then talk about just some thoughts on money in general, some different things that are happening or news or whatever. So this is the week of October 26th through the 30th. We do this every Friday, so make sure and tune in. First off, I want to start by talking about a couple different things. Monday, did a live stream with another YouTuber, kind of got together on that, and Cash is King Trucking. Want to thank him for that. I had a great time. That was really good hanging out for a couple hours. First time we met. Real happy to do that. And I got to tell you, if you wonder how people are off camera or on camera, he's the same guy you're going to get on camera. Just a positive, honest, upbeat guy. So definitely check out that channel if you haven't already. It's Cash is King Trucking. And thank you for that. Before we start this week too, I've been meaning to talk about this for a couple weeks. The brokerage Robinhood. It's really popular with some people. They have an app. It's free and fractional shares and all that. I've mentioned this before, talked about it a little bit, but something happened with Robinhood I just want to touch on quick. A few weeks ago, they had a massive breach of their website and their app and everything, and there was a lot of activity in accounts people didn't catch right away. Some people logged into their account the next day and all their stocks were sold, or there was purchases they didn't make, or there was money missing. It was kind of a weird hack. Who really does that? Goes into somebody's account and sells all their positions. Usually if you go into somebody's account, you try to steal their money. But anyway, this happened. So if you have a Robinhood account, please keep an eye on it. I've talked negatively about Robinhood in the past for some reasons, and this is yet another one of them. They don't have the infrastructure. This isn't child's play. This is, your hard-earned money that you are going to rely on in your life. So make sure you protect it. Okay, part of the problem here too, they had this big breach. Okay, so you think, well, I'll talk to them, tell them what happened. No, they don't have a customer service line. You can email somebody and hope to hear back, but as of now, they don't even have a customer service number for you to call. So, and if you ever get a substantial amount of money in there, you're going to find out when you try to take it out. There's all kinds of restrictions on getting your money out of the account. You have daily limits. They don't make it easy. So, not saying you shouldn't. I'm criticizing if you do have a Robinhood account. I'm just urging you to make sure you check on all those details and keep an eye on your account, okay? Now, for this week, what did we have go on for passive income? Well, received some rent for some residential real estate property that I have. I always get paid rent right around the first of the month. Pretty good tenants, so we had that come in. I didn't make any new purchases. Okay, I have a dividend portfolio, dividend stocks, pays me passive income. Turns out every week of the year, unintentionally, didn't plan it that way, but it happened that way. Didn't make any new purchases this week. It's been a long, hard, rough week. Very busy, on the road. Had some problems with some loads, some problems with some brokers. So I didn't even get a chance to look at any of this. And along those lines, sometimes I think, it takes a lot of effort to do this every Friday. Why do you do it? I remember why I do it now. This reminded me. All week long, I didn't check on my money, didn't check my positions, didn't check anything. Back in my mind, the market was going down. Typically, then I like to buy if there's some pullbacks. Would have liked to have done that this week. Didn't have the time. I needed to write a check and deposit it. Just didn't get around to it. Friday comes, I look at my account. All right. 2 companies paid me. And it's just in the back of my mind. I didn't do anything, and I still got that income. First one was LTC Properties, which is a real estate REIT, long-term care facilities, with a 6.83% yield. And then Toronto Dominion Bank paid me. Current yield of 5.43%. And here's the part that made me really happy and just reinforced and encouraged me to keep doing this. This kind of investing in videos and stuff like this. All week long, I didn't pay attention. Didn't even know it. But I got 3 raises this week, okay? Didn't even expect it. Didn't know they were coming. Usually I'm kind of researching to see who's going to announce a dividend increase or whatever. Didn't do any of that this year. Log into my account about an hour ago. Look at here. First one. This one makes me really happy. I was kind of sweating this company, BP. If you remember back this summer, they cut their dividend 50% because oil's just been getting hammered. They just increased their dividend 1.61%. Small increase. I will grant you that. But I hung in there. I didn't sell. You know, like I said before, my time horizon is 20 years, not 20 days. They bumped it up. They're starting to bump it up. Really happy about that. Unilever increased their dividend 3.22%. Happy about that. And we just got a huge raise from AbbVie, the pharmaceutical company. 10.17% they raised their dividend. And AbbVie has a long history of huge dividend raises for consecutive years. Now, pharmaceuticals kind of a little risky. You know, it's no General Mills. It's, stable and, that pharmaceuticals a little more, up and down and risky. But AbbVie, man, they just been hammering out them dividend increases year after year. Boy, if you could stomach it, putting a lot of money in there, it would probably make you a very rich person, but you're also taking I'd be taking a inordinate amount of risk doing that. So it's at its appropriate size in the portfolio. So let's get to this other part here I want to talk about. We did, starting investing at 50. We did starting investing at 40. And I said, we'll do this week starting at 20. And this one is I got a lot to say, so this might get long. Sorry about that. Hope you can hang in there. And some of you older people like me, or maybe a little older, are probably screaming at the screen right now, God, if I had it to do all over again, and this and that. Isn't hindsight wonderful? So this whole thing comes with the benefit of hindsight. Everything looks a little clearer through that lens. Now, like I said, none of this is financial advice. This is me sharing my personal journey. And this particular video, I think, is kind of going to be a message to my younger self. If I had to go back in time and start over again at 20, and I had somebody that was going to give me advice or teach me something, this is what I would want to tell myself. So I'm just talking from that perspective. Now, just some guidelines I would want myself to follow. I would want myself to know that 3 of the biggest things that keep people down or keep people poor or keep people from becoming wealthy or successful. 1 is car loans, 2 is student debt, and 3 is credit cards. If you can, for the most part, avoid these 3 things or minimize them throughout your life, you're so much farther ahead. Now, I'm not saying student debt. I'm not saying you shouldn't get an education. Education's important. But do you have to have a $400,000 education when maybe a $100,000 education would do? Not only that, but anymore in today's technology, education does not necessarily equal school. There is tons of places to get an education outside of your traditional ways. So spending all this money, I think, is probably going to change here in the future. Credit cards, and if you can stay out of that debt, well, you all know. I don't even have to tell you. And car loans. 50 years from now, when you're old and gray, or 60 years from now when you're old and gray, it's not going to matter what kind of car you drove when you were 20. Or, if you had all the coolest, trendiest clothes. It's not going to matter. I know it make you feel good now, and it's fun. I'm not saying you can't have fun, but there's plenty of other ways to have fun. And anyway, if people think you're cool because you got this cool car, you don't want them as your friends anyway. Trust me. It's not going to turn out that way when you're older. And so anyway, starting at 20. First thing I would tell myself is pick a dollar amount, even if it's $50 a month, that I could invest and I wouldn't even feel it. It wouldn't hurt. I wouldn't even notice it was gone. So that if something came up in my life where I needed money, I wouldn't even have to stop that investment. So I would pick like whatever your income level is. Even if it's $50 a month, I would take that and I would open an account and I would start contributing it to like an S&P 500 fund or some kind of broad index fund just to get some skin in the game and get started, because the time value of money is enormous. Okay. What kind of account? I got several videos on different kinds of accounts. I could go back and look at them and see what's appropriate for me, even 401k or IRA, however you want to go with that. Just get in the game, okay, with a small amount of money. Secondly, if you go back and watch Trucker Money number 4, okay, I talk about if trees were money. And I want you to watch that and grasp the concept. If you grasp the concept like that at 20 years old, I couldn't even imagine going back and having the benefit of that where I would be today. It would be phenomenal. And what we're talking about is planting seeds. We're going to plant some seeds here. We're all over the place. At 20 years old, we're going to plant them all over the place and then just spend the next 30, 40 years watching them grow. Okay, we're going to do our homework first and not plant these seeds in stupid places, but we're going to plant a lot of seeds nonetheless. Third, I'm going to build a broad, unshakable foundation before I start seriously investing. I'm going to have a large emergency fund of at least 6 months worth of income. I'm not even going to say expenses. I'm going to say income. I'm going to work towards that. And that's going to pay off the rest of my life. And I might have to add to that every now and then, as my income goes up, I might have to bump up that emergency fund a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do, and this is not really so much an investment. We're going to talk about CDs here for a second, okay? They're kind of antiquated. They're a thing of the past. But this isn't really for investment purposes. I'm going to build what's called a CD ladder, okay? I'm going to have 5 CDs. I'm going to start at like whatever I don't know what your income is, what I can afford. Say $1,000 a piece. We're going to build a $5,000 CD ladder. A 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 year, a 4 year, and a 5 year, okay? So then at the end of they're going to start coming due. You're going to have one come due every year. And every time one comes due, I'm going to roll it over into a 5-year CD. And over the course of time, I'd like to build this up to like $25,000. Now, the reason I'm doing this is also for the purpose of, it's a kind of above and beyond my emergency fund, where if something happens in my life, I don't have to go raid my investments to get money that I need, okay? So I won't therefore have to start over every time a crisis comes up. Why CDs? I don't know. It's slightly higher interest than a savings account, yet you can still get your money, okay? Small, meaningless penalties, really. Not a great investment, but this isn't really an investment. This is to provide that extra stability and part of building that broad foundation. Next thing I'm going to do, this is kind of different. This is something I came up with. I'm going to take a stack of cash, whatever, $100 bills, $20, mix it up, 50s, however much is a lot of money to you. If $1,000 makes me a little nervous, I'm going to use that. If it's $5,000 that makes me a little nervous, I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that stack of cash and I'm going to put it in my safe and do nothing with it. It's going to sit there until I forget about it and don't even think about it anymore. Because what I'm doing here, I'm changing my relationship with money and getting comfortable with having money. That sounds kind of odd, but you'd be surprised at how many people that make it all the way through their life and they're never comfortable with having money. It's something to be spent. It's something to be gotten rid of. It's like, oh, I got this money, I can do this. I got this money, I can do that. We want to get to the point where like, I got this money, I'll just put it over here. Not worry about it. I know it's there. I know it's there if I need it. After I change my emotions about money, I can do what I want to do with that money. But first, we're going to change our personal relationship with money. I think that's a big deal. I don't know of anybody else that would really tell you that, but it's a big deal. Okay, trust me on that one. And watch people around you to see how they behave with money. Then you'll start to kind of understand. You'll start to see people that aren't comfortable with money. It's like a disease. You got to get rid of it. Okay. Also, I would spend this time educating myself about investments, money, time value of money, things like that. Books, internet, whatever you got to do. Stay away from like programs that people are trying to sell you. You know, this is what I would be telling myself. Don't be buying anything late night TV. There is no get rich quick. It's mostly a scam. The next thing I would say is, like I talked about in the previous one, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Just because they're young and somewhat, risky and careless. Let's face it, we were all kind of that way once. Doesn't mean I got to go throw my money in things that are just trendy and risky, and we don't know what's going to happen with them. If you ever have a friend that says, throw all your money in crypto, it's the future. We don't know that for sure. It might be the future, but just because something is the future doesn't necessarily mean it's a good investment. Okay? There's plenty of things that might be the wave of the future that don't make any money. For instance, like Uber, okay? They were, for most of their existence, losing money. They've kind of gotten now to that profitable point, but still, $1 billion a quarter they were losing. And it ain't over yet, because the government and the IRS are always constantly attacking them, and yeah, that thing may be the future, but it is not a good investment, in my opinion. It's merely my opinion. Okay, you may disagree, that's fine. So we don't have to do that. There's tried and true ways to do this. Now, real estate. At 20 years old, I don't know that I'd be buying rental properties, because I haven't figured out yet where I want to be in life. I might not be living at 20 years old. The likelihood of you living in that same place 10 years from now, I would say, is statistically probably pretty slim. I would wait till I was figured out that I was where I was going to be for most of my life, at least in the general area, before I started investing in physical real estate. Being a long-distance landlord is tough, and it can stick you with some bad decisions of trying to have to make a decision of, do I sell a place? Do I have a property management company do it for me? Do I try to be a long-distance landlord? It would be, however, a great investment if you had all that figured out. It'd be a great time to get in. But at 20 years old, I don't know. For me at 20 years old, I'm within 30 miles of anywhere I've ever lived in my entire life. So it probably would have been a better... And actually, I did invest in real estate at a younger age. I just didn't stick with it. And I probably should have. When we talk about planting seeds all over the place, I would tell myself, okay, we want to be definitely in stocks. We want to be in ETFs, mutual funds, real estate investment trusts. There's even, at 20 years old, cryptocurrency. Probably throw some money in there. I would definitely throw some money in precious metals. And precious metals would be something I would probably continue to add to my entire life. However, I would designate a specific percentage of my entire holdings to that category and keep it in check. We talked about CDs. I don't think they're a great investment, but they do serve a purpose. So at 20 years old, I would spread it out. I would spread it out all over the place. And like I said, what type of accounts, you can decide that for yourself. I got several videos on that. I would pick some core investments and pile money into them, and say I wanted my core investments to be at all times 60 to 70% of my entire holdings. I'm just making those numbers up. I would at least once a year sit down and make sure I'm not out of whack on that. And my core holdings would be, like we've talked about in different videos, conservative, time-tested investments. And then I would add real estate when I was ready. I may have been ready at 25. I may be ready at 30. I would just revisit that from time to time. Just some things about, life in general. I would tell myself, make sure to always give. Be more charitable. Giving kind of changes you as a person, makes you a different person, and keeps you in check of everything in perspective of having money or not having money or helping those less fortunate. So I would tell myself to make sure to always give. I tell myself, always be willing to learn. Many people would have advice for you. There's always going to be somebody telling you what to do with your money. But I'm going to tell you right now, few of those people have money. So be careful about taking important advice on money from people who don't have any. Not that they might not have good advice, but goes back to that thing of relationship with money. Did they build discipline? Did they develop good habits? You've probably heard the term big hat and no cattle. Well, a lot of people are big hat and no cattle. So be careful who you hitch your wagon to. Okay? Always try to figure things out for yourself. Take the advice of qualified people. The last thing I would say to myself at 20 years old would be moderate your wants. Have your desires in check. Because, at 20 years old, you have a lot of ambition. Hopefully you do anyways. If you don't have it at 20, I can't imagine life at 50. You know what I'm saying? So, don't spin your wheels your whole life, dying and killing yourself to get that dream pickup truck or that dream whatever at the expense of your future. Don't lose perspective of that, because like I said, in 50 years, you won't even care what kind of pickup truck you had, okay? But you might care that you're 67 years old and about to get put into a county nursing home, when if you had done some things different when you were 20, you could go into maybe a private home, nursing home, and get way better treatment. Have your own room, your own private nurse. For example. So anyway, those are just some basic guidelines I would try to go back and lay out for myself if I was starting over at 20 years old. But isn't hindsight wonderful, Too late for that. We all live with the decisions we made. And, if we're starting, wherever your starting point is, best you can do for yourself is try to make the best decisions you can for yourself now. And do the best you can. So anyway, take care. Have a good week. We will see you next time.